Blueface has had one interesting career so far. At only 22 years old, the Los Angeles-born rapper managed to sign a multi-million-dollar record deal with Cash Money West after the viral successes of his songs like Thotiana and Respect My Crypn amassed millions of views online. Blueface even managed to remix Thotiana 2 more times with fellow rappers YG and Cardi B. Those 2 music videos on Bennett's Lyrical YouTube channel have over 218 million views combined. But despite being a rich and successful rapper, Blueface has still managed to find himself in all types of legal trouble. The offbeat sensation has paid almost $100,000 in total to keep his freedom over the last year, and that's not even including lawyer fees. Curious on how Blueface got himself in this situation? Well, then we have you covered. Here is an exclusive inside look at the criminal history of Blueface. Now, Blueface wasn't always having run-ins with the law like he seems to be having now. Back when he was younger, Blueface grew up in the rougher parts of LA and even had an older brother that was heavily involved in the streets. But even though Blueface was around that type of lifestyle, he focused his attention more on football than the street life. Blueface played football all throughout school and was surprisingly the star quarterback of his high school's football team. This led to him getting offers to play college football at various different schools across the country. Blueface eventually went to play for Fayetteville State University, but later dropped out and moved back to Los Angeles after finding himself extremely homesick and unhappy. With his football dreams in the gutter, Blueface started to hang around the schoolyard Crips, whom he was affiliated with all of his life, but I guess at this point, he was considered to be a member of the schoolyard Crips. Blueface then began to work various odd jobs around the city, but none of them seemed to work out for him. He was even fired for allegedly selling Kush out of an Office Depot. After realizing the 9-to-5 life wasn't for him, Blueface became a full-time dealer and was allegedly getting in frequent trouble because of this. I looked everywhere to find some type of evidence of this, but I just couldn't. So either the trouble he got in was resolved before any formal charges were filed, or the records are sealed. Regardless, Blueface eventually quit this type of lifestyle after he went to a studio session with a fellow schoolyard Crip member and recorded himself rapping for the fun of it. Blueface liked the way he sounded when he rapped, and has become focused on rapping ever since. The newfound success of his music career seemed to keep him out of trouble, at least until November 16th, 2018. On that day, Blueface was at a Chevron gas station in New Hill, California, when a robber approached him and stole some of Blueface's belongings. The robber then hopped in his gray Dodge pickup truck and fled the scene. Blueface was not going down without a fight and proceeded to get in his car and chased after the fleeing robber. Once they were side by side on the highway, a shootout occurred that eventually led to both cars crashing nearby. When the police arrived, they arrested the robber, but they also arrested Blueface. The charge Blueface received was suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon, which is a felony in the state of California. Blueface ended up spending that weekend in jail and was later released on a $50,000 bond. This case went pretty silent for a while, but it was later revealed that the felony charge was reduced to a misdemeanor weapons possession. Blueface ultimately pled not guilty to this and apparently had a trial for this charge in August of 2019. I looked everywhere for an outcome of this situation, but nobody seems to have it. I'm assuming it got dismissed since he was the alleged victim of the whole ordeal. Also, if he was sentenced to jail time, we probably would have heard about it by now. Blueface's second arrest happened on February 1st, 2019. According to TMZ, Blueface and friends were hanging out in a neighborhood wearing expensive jewelry and holding large amounts of cash when nearby neighbors called the cops on them. They called the cops because apparently the neighborhood they were in had recently been targeted in multiple robberies over the past few weeks. Allegedly, they were just looking out for Blueface and his friends since they thought the group would be easy targets due to all the valuables on them. When the cops arrived, Blueface and friends scattered and a firearm was allegedly ditched in the process. The police recovered the loaded weapon and proceeded to arrest Blueface and 2 other associates after they finally caught up with them. Blueface was ultimately charged with felony possession of carrying a loaded firearm. He was later released on a $35,000 bail. Blueface's manager, YG 100, came out and said that Blueface was completely innocent in this case, and that evidence such as surveillance footage and fingerprints will prove that the weapon was not his. YG 100 also mentioned that Blueface was unaware that someone he was with was packing heat. This situation happened months ago, and there seems to be no updates on this case. Once again, I'm assuming the evidence YG 100 claimed to have helped get this case thrown out, but I'm not 100% sure. Cases like this can take months and even years to get resolved, so maybe it's just a long process. Hopefully it all works out. Ever since that incident in February, Blueface has managed to stay out of trouble. I do think it's worth noting that Blueface did have a close call back in June of 2019. TMZ reported that in the early morning of June 28, 2019, Blueface was pulled over and cuffed during a traffic stop after allegedly speeding in his black Porsche through a residential neighborhood. This was quickly resolved though, due to the fact that the police eventually determined that no crime was committed after all and let Blueface go with just a warning. This is lucky because getting arrested while you have a pending case can add a lot of complications. It could end up with the person sitting in jail until their case is resolved. That simple traffic stop could have put a big strain on Blueface's career. Overall, Blueface seems to have gotten pretty lucky with the legal situations he, unfortunately, got himself into. Most of this seems to be going in his favor, and I hope that he can eventually put all this behind him and focus on his career. Well, there you have it, the criminal history of Blueface. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button to see more videos just like this one. Also, feel free to hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we upload. I'll be making videos like this every week, so comment down below on who you want to see a criminal history video on next. That's all I have for today. I'm out.